Few words make an expat's head spin faster than visa. After this video, you will have a better understanding of the requirements for Mexico's temporary residency visa and my tips for how to apply successfully. For the best advice about moving to Mexico, subscribe to my channel and hit the bell to be notified when I upload a new episode every Thursday. Hi, I'm Alex, and while I moved to Querétaro, Mexico in October 2017, I didn't apply for temporary residency until July 2020. When I was living in Spain, I had some really stressful and really time-consuming visa experiences, so I was not in a hurry to do that again. Thanks to Mexico's generous 180-day tourist visa, I didn't have to. But while the tourist visa is really generous, there are still certain things you can't do with it, like registering a vehicle and opening a bank account. As I near my 3-year anniversary of living in Mexico, it felt important to establish something more permanent there. And while permanent and temporary usually don't go together, the temporary residency visa was the appropriate next step for me. We are on the road. Taylor and I just left Southwest Michigan and we are driving to the east side of the state. We're driving to Detroit. We have our appointment tomorrow morning at the consulate, and I don't know, I think both of us are feeling kind of nervous.
But excited.
Nervous but excited. That's a good way to put it. There was just, What is a temporary residency visa? The temporary residency visa is for anyone planning on staying more than 180 days, but less than 4 years. In most cases, it's the unskippable first step to applying for permanent residency. In this video, I'm detailing the first step of the application process, which you need to do at a Mexican consulate outside of the United States. Now, before we dive in, I just wanted to remind you that I am not an immigration lawyer. This video and the information in it is based on my experience at the Mexican consulate in Detroit. Step 1, make your appointment. When I was looking online to book an appointment at the Mexico consulate in Detroit, I could only see time slots for a few weeks in advance, and everything after that was blacked out. So you can't book too far in advance, but you also don't want to book too close to the date that you need your visa because there aren't a lot of time slots available. When I was looking, there were only time slots available specifically for visa appointments, I think on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and there were only 2 time slots each day at 10 and 11 a.m. So as soon as you know that you want to apply for a visa, get in there and grab an appointment. You can book an appointment over the phone, but I really recommend doing so online because it is super easy and super convenient. You'll just need to create a little login and then select your time slot. That's it. They'll send you a confirmation email, and go ahead and print that confirmation email out, or at the very least save it to your desktop, because I always recommend bringing a copy of that with you to your visa appointment in case there's any confusion, any mix-up. You have proof that you made an appointment for that day and that you need to get in. If you're having trouble figuring out where to book your appointment, then just Google the name of your state plus Mexico consulate, and in the search results, you'll see which consulate is closest to you. Step 2, gather your documents. For the temporary residency visa, they only wanted the visa form, which is just barely 2 pages, a photograph, a passport photograph, your actual passport, and then proof of economic solvency. That last one is where things got a little hairy, because even though the requirements seemed straightforward and clear on the website, in reality, especially for a freelancer, it wasn't quite the case. Now, unless you have a job lined up in Mexico, an organization or an institution is sponsoring your move there, then this economic solvency portion is really, really important. The country of Mexico wants to know that you are not going to be a burden to them. According to the official that I spoke to at the consulate, according to the consulate website itself, there are 2 ways to prove economic solvency. The first way is to bring your bank statements for the last 12 months, month by month statements showing that you have a balance of at least $27,213 US in those accounts over the past 12 months. The second way is to show that you are earning at least 1,634 US per month. That's after taxes. So you will need to bring in your pay stubs for the last 6 months showing that you are earning at least that, plus a letter from your employer stating your position. If you are retired, then you will need to bring in proof of the money that you're getting from Social Security. While I still maintain that Mexico is a great country for digital nomads, there's no denying that the temporary residency visa process is pretty tricky for freelancers. If you are a freelancer who has multiple clients, you are changing out, working on different projects, then it can be a bit difficult to prove that economic solvency with the $1,634 per month, even if you are earning that. Because if you're getting it from multiple sources, the consulate isn't really a fan of that. They want to see that you have one solid client who you've worked with for at least 6 months who is paying you that $1,634 per month. Are you a freelancer? If you are a digital nomad who earns their money freelancing, I would love to know what countries in the world you think are best for freelancing digital nomads. Leave me a comment and let me know. Step 3, the initial review. My visa appointment was scheduled for July 28th at the Mexican consulate in Detroit. Well, it's actually in Madison Heights, which is about 20 minutes from downtown Detroit. Make sure that you get there on time because my visa appointment started promptly at 10 a.m. I went into the consulate, which in Detroit at least was actually pretty small, and at one end of the long counter there was a table, and I sat down and an official came out and sat down across from me. The woman was really nice and very professional. She asked what kind of visa I was applying for, collected my form, collected my photograph, and then started going through my financial statements. She knew exactly what she was looking for, so there's really no wiggle room with the economic solvency. Either you meet the requirements or not. If you have any questions about whether or not your paperwork, your financial statements meet the requirements to prove economic solvency, then just go ahead and shoot your consulate an email. Consulates aren't always great about answering their phones, but usually they are pretty good about getting back via email. So this is especially important if you are coming a long way to get to your appointment. You don't want to waste a trip. Just check in advance to make sure that you have everything you need. Step 4, pay for your visa. Once she determined that I was eligible, she sent me to a different official further down the counter where I paid for my visa. I paid the $40 fee with my credit card. Step 5, get fingerprinted. I did my left hand, I did my right hand, and I did both thumbs. She also asked me to stand in front of a white background and get my picture taken. That was the picture that ended up being used on my visa, so I'm not really sure what the little passport photograph that they asked me for was used for, maybe just for their records, but just know that you might be asked to take another picture at the consulate. The interview. After I got fingerprinted, I sat around in the waiting room for a little while, but then the official that I was initially working with and then another official called me over to a computer where they asked me some questions. The guy asked me questions like where I planned on living in Mexico, what kind of work that I did online, how long I planned to live in Mexico, and while I was answering these questions, he was typing in my responses into a computer. I really think that by that point they had already decided to give me the visa. I'm not 100% sure though, but that's the way that it seems. I think that while I was answering this guy's questions, I would have had to say something pretty extreme, pretty whack in order for him to stop the visa process and tell me that I was not going to get it. Wait for your visa. I really had no idea that I was going to get back my passport with the visa in it the exact same day. Actually, after I finished answering the questions, there was No moments, there was no statement from the officials saying that I had gotten the visa. They just asked me to go sit down. So while I was waiting, I really had no idea what I was waiting for. And then the official that had done my initial review called me up again, handed me my passport, and the visa was in it. I was so excited. In all, my appointment took about 2 hours. Celebrate your visa. After getting my passport back with the visa in it, I left the consulate and met up with my friend in Detroit who I had stayed the night with the night before. We got cerveza, of course, and walked along the riverfront, and I was just really happy to be done with this part of the application process. Of course, this is only part one, and the official at the consulate told me that I had 6 months to use this one-time entrance into Mexico, and upon using that one-time visa entrance, I would need to start the next part of the application process within 30 days of arriving to Mexico. I promised to document the rest of the visa process both on my blog, backpackingbrunette.com, as well as here on YouTube. So be sure to subscribe to my channel and hit the bell to be notified when I upload a new episode, because you are not going to want to miss part 2 of the visa application process. Now you know the first step in applying for temporary residency in Mexico, but what about finding an apartment once you get there? Head to the link in the description and grab the completely free 25-page Move to Mexico Quick Start Guide. It has my top tips for apartment hunting in Mexico, plus a really handy renting in Spanish cheat sheet. If you have any questions about applying for Mexico's temporary residency visa or just moving to Mexico in general, go ahead and leave those in the comments and I will be sure to answer them. I'm Alex from backpackingbrunette.com. Thanks for watching. Watch these videos next for even more advice about moving to Mexico. If you found this video helpful, give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and share it with someone who dreams of moving to Mexico.